This is Observious, bringing you guys another League of Legends commentary, and today we are going to be looking at Amumu, the sad mummy. And so, real quick, I'm going to go over his abilities. I'm going to go over the item build that I build him as, runes, masteries, what spells I take with him, and all of that good stuff. So, here's Amumu, sad mummy. He is one of the very few tanks in the game. I can quickly go back and say, oh look, all these people are the what Riot calls tanks. So actually there's 7. Maokai. Totally forgot about him being a 7th tank, but hey. So average health, he's a tank, but his main strengths are not that he stacks a lot of HP like, say, Cho'Gath, who, while he's in a flag tank, people accept him as a tank, or Singed. He builds a lot of HP via stacking mana, which sounds counterintuitive, but it makes sense. He has low attack. He's not really there for auto attacking and whacking stuff with his head, as he has really tiny little hands because he's a kid, and he doesn't do too much damage through attacks. That's not what he's made for. If you build a DPS Amumu and it works, I'm kind of interested in seeing your build because it'll probably work for every other champion in the game. Maybe, I don't know. Spells are strong, namely because what makes him a tank, his whole initiation with his Q, which is a ranged stun. I'll get to there in a second. His ultimate, his W, which sort of what helps him be a tanky / in your face. You need a focus me or you will die, as opposed to other champions that just soak up HP or have to taunt. Amumu sort of makes you focus him via the damage that he does. And his difficulty to use is medium, as he's not someone that you can pick up right off the bat. It does take a few games to get used to him, but once you start playing with him, you can suddenly start destroying faces, especially if you understand how to build him. So, going over his abilities, I already mentioned his Q, which is Bandage Toss. Amumu tosses a sticky bandage at a target, stunning and damaging the target while he pulls himself to them. Now, unlike Maokai's W, which, is a route that he sort of does a Mastery E charge to, Bandage Toss is a skill shot. So if there's minions in the way, if there's another champion in the way of the champion that you're trying to get, you're going to go Bandage Toss to them. You can even Bandage Toss into a random direction and completely waste your mana and the cooldown. So you do have to get good at landing your Bandage Toss. As a plus, it is an extremely long-range charge / stun ability. Although when people take Merc Treads, they're pretty much only stunned for how long it takes for you to get up next to them, as that reduced duration does hit it really hard. Now, Bandage Toss is unique in that you don't get a longer, well, not unique, but it's neat in that you don't get a longer duration stun the more you level it. So a lot of times you will level this skill last. Going to his W, it's Despair. Overcome by anguish, nearby enemies lose a percentage of their max health each second. That's right, this is kind of like having a Blood Razor AoE around you. Although it only starts off at like 1% and ends at like, I think, 2.4-ish. It will go up based on every 100 AP, I think. And it's really good for taking down enemy tanks, people that stack a lot of HP, instead of going more armor, magic resist, defense, which is really good in this metagame, as a lot of champions are stacking HP, especially with the new towers, making it so that way stacking armor is less encouraged, because you can tank the towers way easier stacking HP than armor now. As well as, just getting HP, because it deals with magic resistance and armor to an extent. So that's Despair. It's an AoE tears thing. It recently got a new animation, so now you can see it that much more clearly. Used to show only little tear animations beside him, but now it has like an AoE water thing. You'll see that in game. Tantrum permanently reduces the physical damage Amumu would take, starting at 2 reduced physical damage and ending at 10 reduced physical damage. This makes him more tanky, helps him deal with, the odd minion fire that he gets, lets him jungle fairly well, although I will not be jungling Amumu. I'll be doing lane Amumu. Amumu can unleash his rage, dealing damage to surrounding enemies. Each time he's hit, the cooldown is reduced by half a second. This is kind of like Alistar's heal, which is reduced every time an enemy near him dies. Same thing, except every time he gets attacked, the cooldown gets reduced by half a second. You're going to be maxing this first, as it is a sort of ability that you will be using to last hit minions to harass champions via, stun, and then Tantrum, if you can get away with that. Your laning is going to be somewhat weak, but you're still going to be able to farm minions like a boss, and once you get your Philosopher's Stone and boots, you can become that much more active. Curse the Sad Mummy. is an AoE, which is Amumu entangles surrounding enemy units and bandages, damaging them and rendering them unable to attack or move, aka stunning them. This is going to make you the big tank / initiator in team fights. You're basically going to wait until they all clump up, bandage toss onto one of them, or flash onto them if you don't have time to bandage toss or there's minions in the way, and then drop your Curse of the Sad Mummy, and all of a sudden they're stunned, they've taken damage, and your team can just get in position and destroy them. That's kind of Amumu's role. And then you'll be able to use bandage toss maybe in the middle of the team fight, and then at the end of the team fight, depending on how much cooldown reduction and stuff like that you have. As far as tips, he's highly dependent on teammates. Yes, he doesn't really have too much DPS himself. He can 1v1 champions later on, but initially, no. He's very dependent on champions, but he does have 2 stuns. So pretty much every time your ultimate is done recharging, you can kill somebody, either by yourself occasionally or with someone else, as that's just how awesome the ultimate is. Cooldown reduction on Amumu is very strong, but it's difficult to itemize for it. I actually don't get any cooldown reduction items on my build, but that's more of a just something I do to fully increase his damage and tankability. Other times, you might want to go cooldown reduction runes and stuff like that, but I'll get there when I do. Despair is very effective against other tanks. Make sure you're in range of the opponent's highest HP champions. Pretty simple. With Amumu, you'll find that you'll be just having Despair on and maybe using your E next to champions, but you won't necessarily be auto-attacking them. His passive does reduce magic resist when he hits them, so you want to hit them once. But if you're chasing somebody, you just want to run next to them with Despair, as that's going to be doing a lot of damage, especially after it's maxed. And I'm also going to be getting the Sunfire Cape, so more damage to the whole Despair thing. Avoid bunching up with your allies when Amumu has his ultimate up, fairly obvious. Erratic movement or hiding behind creep waves makes it difficult for him to initiate a bandage toss. This is true with all skill shots. When fighting Ezreal, who has his Q and his W, when you're fighting Karthus with his Lay Waste, when you're fighting Cassiopeia with her poisonous Q, any skill shots, whole idea of erratic movement, try to make it so that way they can't predict which way you're going, helps dodge skill shots. And of course, Amumu's Despair makes stacking hit points a risky proposition. So, he's a sad guy. He just woke up a mummy inside of a pyramid, and, he came over, joined the league, and he has a home, and he's trying to find his past. And, he has various skins and all of that. So, I like regular Amumu, so no fancy skins for me. That's the champion summary of his abilities and stuff like that. Going over into runes, I do use my AP support page. I could be using other pages on him. People will get cooldown reduction blues and or quints. Flat or per level being your choice for cooldown reduction. You really do need magic pen, but that's more of what ties into my masteries when I get there. Some people will oddly enough go mana or mana runes or magic penetration, just a preference thing. I actually go more into utility to get the 5% more mana instead of going farther into offense, so that's why I get magic penetration reds. Also, my build does a lot of magic damage, so I get these reds as a matter of choice. I get gold quints, which is sort of like a, hey, gold quints are cool, but for Amumu, really, they're kind of average. There's so many other quints that you can do with Amumu, at least the way I build him. So it's just a matter of preference. Move speed quints are really awesome with him. If you haven't figured it out yet, being next to somebody as Amumu is kind of the way you kill people. So move speed quints are the way to go. If you go that way, then you wouldn't have to take Boots of Swiftness maybe, and maybe you could get cooldown boots. Something to consider. I haven't tested it yet because I don't have move speed quints. Other times, you can just go HP quints if you want to be more tanky. Mana regen per level is very needed, as Amumu loves mana, like a lot of champions. So mana regen per level yellows is fairly unnecessary. Not certainly to replace here unless you want to go get some armor yellows. To help out with the way I build him, since I get more armor than I do magic resist, I go ahead and give myself flat magic resist blues. Like I said, there's other ways to build him. It's more of a playstyle preference on far as his runes. I think you could go fairly whatever with him, as long as you get the right things. And so here's my weird mastery setup. A lot of times you'll go 9 in offense because he is a caster, 15% spell pen with Archaic Knowledge, and the extra 3% cooldown with Max Sorcery is very nice. But I like having the 3% extra move speed, 6% reduced cooldowns, and Presence of the Master as well. Which says, hey, you could get all this with like 21. Well, yeah, but I want expanded mind too. And then, because I'm not really building too tanky, I'm getting 6 more magic resistance, 6 more armor. But I could very easily, say, bring this down to 1 or something. Pull these out, actually I could get rid of it altogether. No, bring that down to 1, get rid of that, and go ahead and get 9 in offense. But I like this because it gives him a little bit more tankiness, it gives him more mana where it counts, and just lets me build him that way. In case you didn't notice, I go ahead and do get improved teleport and flash. So my summoner abilities are going to be teleport and flash. Teleport because I plan on recalling at very specific gold amounts, and I also like being able to teleport to the fray at will. It's become more of a summoner skill that I've somewhat fallen in love with. I really like the skill teleport. And flash, people always make the argument for flash by basically saying there's no threads to make Ghost get removed, or no threads to get, Rally removed, so flash should be taken just because people say flash is awesome and flash is a noob skill, etc. But for Amumu, you really do need flash. Flash will help you escape, flash will help you initiate. It's kind of needed on him as much as it's needed on Alistar. Although Alistar uses his flash more for his Q, and Amumu uses his flash more for his ultimate. As well as, doing fun juking in the jungle and stuff like that. So, already talked about his spells like that. I guess I can go over here. You can get Ghost, but not really. Exhaust is usually always fun, but on Amumu, again, I'm not too certain. Heal is something you can very much consider, even though I've really never used my health potion. Unless I get hit really hard early game, I'll start off with a regrowth pendant, the health regeneration item, and 1 health potion, but that's more over to tidy me up until I get, say, 715 gold or so. I can leave at 360, which is a little bit after boots. I believe it's 360. Revive is hey, I'm going to go suicide and then revive. I don't know. Revive is more of a pre-made thing where everyone's going to carry, like, teleport revive and have fun with it, or something like that, or revive fortify. So that way, you can pretty much suicide and be crazy and still win if the game goes late. Smite, you take it if you're jungling with him. If not, don't take it. If you take Smite, then you're going to be taking Smite Flash instead of, say, Smite Teleport. But I like Teleport. It's fun. Cleanse, something to consider instead of Teleport if you're not a teleporting fan, because you will get CC'd. On the flip side, Amumu is really tanky, so I don't know. Fortify, more of a utility spell. You don't really need the 9 bonus damage. Clarity, you can take that instead of Teleport, personally. If my mana's getting really low and I'm not getting blue or something like that, I can just recall and teleport back in. And Teleport's more of a, when to walk and when to run and stuff like that. But you'll find, when you want to recall and stuff like that. And I find that managing mana is very easy with mana per level yellows and Teleport. But if you don't have mana per level yellows or you're not level 30 yet, consider Clarity. Ignite, I don't know. It does give him 10 more AP if you go ahead and get improved Ignite, which if I took out my 5% increased mana and my points in defense and went 10 in offense for the spell pen and the 10 extra AP, it could be useful, but I don't know. You don't really need extra damage with Amumu ever. Maybe for jungling and you really are like starved for runes that you would jungle with him, you could take Smite Rally or Smite Fortify, but that's more of a thing. Clairvoyance, very fun, gives you vision, but it's more of a, hey, no one else has Clairvoyance, I'll take Clairvoyance, or it's a preference, take Clairvoyance. Since it's normal, I'm not too worried about who has CV. Flash, like I said, I've already talked about this spell, very fun, lets you get to where you need to get to in a very fast time, instantly, as a matter of fact. I did have to leave the last game, sadly, but you can sort of see how I've been doing with Amumu. I had one Cult vs AI game with him, and then everything else has been fun and dandy. Although for some reason I got a Shirelia's on that game. Oh, because I was messing around with him. But you can sort of see how I build him. And yes, I had to leave. I only leave like very few games, sadly. But nope, had to go to work. So it happens. So that's pretty much it for Amumu. I'm going to go ahead and queue up. So normal, matching with teammates. And you might be wondering, why were you doing a pregame instead of a postgame? Well, Amumu's a tank, so I figure unless someone else insta-locks Amumu, I'll be able to play that. And if someone else picks a tank, well, then I'll be an off-tank. And he actually does fairly well as an off-tank. So we already have an insta-lock Scion. I'm Amumu, but let's go ahead and see what's going on. He's saying he's an AD Scion. AD Scion's fairly strong. We've got a Shaco to help with the whole ganking, etc. Ooh, jungle Shaco. Alright, so we're going to be great. Awesome. I do not want a solo lane, though. Although he can solo middle, which I found hilarious. I only found that out because no one else wanted middle once, because they had a Kassadin and we had a bunch of casters on our team. But he has to play it safe. But I do feel he's better off in a side lane. But we'll see how that turns out. I'm going to go ahead and ask if I can have a side lane. May I take bot? Don't want to solo, if possible. So we can have a Jarvan and a Amumu. So that's two initiators. We have an AD Scion who's going to be stunning and having fun with that. So AD, AP, probably AD. Okay, tanky. That'll work. Gonna go ahead and lock in, and it looks like this is going to be it. So our 5-man team, and I'll see you guys in the actual gameplay portion of the video. Hope you guys liked the pregame, and be sure to subscribe. Why not? This is Observious signing out.